Hi, Joe the Dixon here for TrekMovie.com. Going to do a quick video review of the new PADD app that Paramount has put out for the iPad. I happen to have the application and an iPad right here, so I'll walk through the major features of the application and tell you some pros and cons. Effectively, what you have and what they've created is a pretty interesting encyclopedia of Star Trek, as well as a very complete episode guide. So you load the $4.99 app by clicking on this button here after you've purchased it, and then you have the wonderful voice of Majel Barrett Roddenberry, which starts up the application. And there she is. So what I'll do is I'll actually walk you through some of the features of it, and I'll of course zoom in so that you actually see a little more detail of the application. So once you get past the launch screen, you will see the home menu, and the home menu basically gives you pretty much an overview over everything that you can actually see on the app. You can explore the characters that exist in the Star Trek universe. You can actually walk through the entire episode guide of every episode on Star Trek. You look at bios and information of behind the scenes personnel as well as the characters. So let's actually walk through step by step everything that's on here. Clicking on aliens will give you actually a list of all the alien species that have been on the series. So alphabetical, of course. So if you want to jump to Romulans, you can go to the R's, and clicking on each individual aspect of the experience will give you details. Here's, of course, the Vishnar Kar Allure. Sorry about my pronunciation there. The ships section will give you details and information around all the ships. So, for example, here's Admiral Janeway's shuttle from Voyager. You'll be able to see different alternate views, and of course, see cross-index to all the other individual sections. So then of course you can jump into characters, and you actually have a pretty detailed section for each one of the characters. So every character that's been on the show, and of course the classic Star Trek movies and the Next Generation movies. And you'll see one of the first main problems with the application, in my opinion, and I'll get some pros and cons in a minute. Not all the content is completely here. You'll see this character doesn't really have a photo that is assigned to it. Moving on to technology, there's a section called On Technology, which talks about all the technobabble that you would see in your various Star Trek series and films. And if there's an appropriate image that goes along with it, you would see it. Here again, one of the detriments of the application is it doesn't have images for everything. Some instances because, well, there's not an image. You basically have, something like aqueduct systems. Well, there's not really a photo of aqueduct systems. So moving on to places, you actually see places that exist, various planets on the actual Star Trek universe. And if there's images associated with the planet, you would actually be able to access it here. And again, you see cross-reference items to Delta Quadrant. So basically what they've really developed is a Star Trek encyclopedia, and more than that, they've also developed a Star Trek episode guide. So going into episodes, you actually can see a listing of every single episode that exists in the Star Trek universe of all the series, and even the animated series, of course. So here's Albatross, which is an episode of the cartoon series, and again you can look at various images from the episode. Skipped around a bit there, so let's go to actually food. This is one of the weird aspects of the application. You actually can see listings of all the different food stuff that are mentioned on the show. Again, very comprehensive in a lot of respects, and again, not a lot of images because, the food stuff that are on the show didn't really have a lot of showcase scenes where you actually had zoom in images. A section called Science Medical actually allows you to look at all the different diseases and all the different scientific terms that exist on the series. And again, one thing I want to note, you can actually click on various spots in the experience and it will make all blinky, happy, tricky noises for you. Going to the next section, which is cast, you can actually see all of the actors who have portrayed on the series in various connotations. So here's John Billingsley, a personal favorite of mine. And there's a little bio of Billingsley and his career. Now this is actually one of the things I actually was a real pet peeve of mine. You've got a lot of really talented, incredible cast members that have been on the show. And one of my personal favorites is the actor John Colicos, formerly of Battlestar Galactica. He played Kor. And here's his listing. Nothing. So the application is very well-rounded, very detailed, but there's a lot of gaps that they still haven't filled. Obviously, this is the first round, and most iPhone and iPad apps, they tend to improve in time, and they tend to add more things to it. Hopefully, it will get better. So, in addition to the cast, which I just mentioned, you can also look at the staff. So you can actually see the various people who have worked on Star Trek over the years. And of course, it starts alphabetically with J.J. Abrams. So here's a little bio of J.J. Abrams. And again, you also have the beepy, flashy things. No lens flare, of course, but you still have some interesting details around the personnel who worked on the show. They have a Facebook and a Twitter button and allows you to actually look at news feeds from Facebook and Twitter. Now, apps like the Captain's Log, which was previously available for the iPad and the iPhone, allowed you to actually update Facebook and Twitter when you plugged in your account. This is just a read-only version right now. I would hope that it's actually going to add more abilities to engage and interact with the social media applications through the actual app. And of course, here's the Twitter feed. So all in all, it's a $4.99 app. It's really quite enjoyable. And it also has something I really like in that it actually has almost a screensaver mode. So if you actually don't touch or engage with the application for a while, it actually starts updating and showing some interactive diagrams. One of the Star Trek Enterprise 1701D. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, the ships are really cool. The ship index, but another nit that I have is you can't get any more of these pictures to go bigger. So if I wanted to see this image in full screen, it's not available. So again, the pros, it's an incredibly detailed and a very comprehensive Star Trek encyclopedia and episode guide. The cons is it's still not 100% there. There's still some content that they're still working on, I'm sure, or hopefully will be adding. All in all, it's a really fun, engaging app, and if you're a fan of Star Trek and you don't have it, and you also own an iPad, well, you probably need to get it. So again, $5 in the Apple Store, and definitely worth the price of admission. So, thank you, and good night.
Transfer complete.